I guess before I get started with the story, shout out to my Kim for sending me this article that is posted from the LA Times on September 1st, 2021. So you can see right here at the top, it says Beverly Hills accused of creating police task force that disproportionately arrests black people. This should surprise or shock no one. I always put the LAPD right underneath the NYPD for my top 5 corrupt police departments in America. Because for me, it's the NYPD, the LAPD, the Chicago PD, the Baltimore PD, and at the end, I want to say it's between Texas and Florida. Maybe lean more towards Texas because they got them Texas Rangers and they kind of shaky down there. But the LAPD was always number 2 for me, considering their history. So this right here doesn't surprise me. The LAPD in particular, they are really shady when it comes to, sorry about this pop-up. They're really shady when it comes to how they deal with black people, in the sense of they will find a way to pin a crime on a black person. They're known. Oh, I forgot the Baltimore PD. That's number 5, not Texas. The Baltimore PD. I forgot about them. If I didn't mention them before. They have been known to plant stuff on black people, be engaged in a lot of gang activity against black people, and a whole bunch of other things. A lot of them are gang members. They get in the police departments just so they can go around and terrorize black people. So when I see this, I'm not surprised at all. And that's why the numbers look disproportionate the way that they do. Now, I haven't read this article yet, so I don't know what kind of numbers they're about to throw out at us, but I have a feeling they're going to be some wild, outlandish figures. A black couple have sued the city of Beverly Hills, alleging their arrest was part of a campaign by its police to arrest black people for trivial reasons at a disproportionate rate. The couple's lawyers, Bradley Gage and Benjamin Crump, oh my God, said the Beverly Hills police last year set up a task force dubbed Operation Safe Streets in the Rodeo Drive Task Force that arrested 106 people, 105 whom were black, and one of whom was Latino. Now listen to that. They arrested 106 people last year, and 105 of them were black, and one was Latino. And that puts out a propaganda that black people, mainly, are bad, and they have to do something to get them off the street. Kind of reminds you of that story about that Asian cop I think it was in Detroit, who was arresting and putting all these crimes on a whole bunch of black people that I did a few weeks back. Gage said the sources of the arrest figures were unidentified retired Beverly Hills police officers who were appalled by the task force's actions and so shared with him the alleged racial breakdown of who had been arrested. The impetus for the task force, Gage said, was both the protest over the death of George Floyd and what Beverly Hills police believe were transactions at retail stores using suspected proceeds of unemployment benefit fraud. Gage described the police department's approach to rooting out suspected fraud as, gee, that's suspicious, black people shopping in Beverly Hills. Basically saying black people don't belong in Beverly Hills because Beverly Hills is a very high-end place, and Beverly Hills is known for having a lot of high-end retail, a lot of foreign fashion brands and all types of, mostly European, that are all through Beverly Hills and Rodeo Drive. You don't even have to go there to actually see it because it's highlighted in a lot of television shows and movies. Gage and Crump, who has represented the families of Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and others killed by police, raised their allegations Wednesday on the steps of Beverly Hills City Hall. There is something terribly wrong here, Gage said, citing what he called the city's legacy of biased policing. Gage and Crump are seeking class action status for their lawsuit, which was filed Monday in Los Angeles County Superior Court. The only named plaintiffs are the couple who were arrested on suspicion of riding scooters on a sidewalk and resisting arrest, and it does not appear that Gage or Crump has identified the 104 other people who they contend were arrested. In a statement, Police Chief Dominic Rivetti said his department created a Rodeo Drive team in response to complaints by businesses and a rise in burglary, shoplifting, street gambling, public intoxication, marijuana, smoking, and more. So you mean to tell me that all of that I just mentioned is only conducive to black people is what they're saying? No other group can do that except black people. Rob, smoke weed, shoplift, street gambling, public intoxication. They literally just told you right there that they limit that to black people, and that's exactly why a lot of other groups, mainly white people, continue to get away with crimes, because they're honed in on us. The team seized 13 firearms carried by people on Rodeo Drive, said Rivetti, who called this unprecedented in the history of Beverly Hills. Rivetti said the Rodeo Drive unit rooted out fraudulently obtained state unemployment benefits, seizing $250,000 in cash and ill-gotten debit cards. Most of the people arrested by the unit were not California residents, Rivetti said, but they nonetheless possessed debit cards loaded with state funds. The Times asked the Beverly Hills Police for a total number and breakdown by race of the people arrested by the Rodeo Drive unit. Captain Max Subin in a department spokesman said officials were gathering the figures Wednesday and would provide them once they had them finished. Gage and Crump on Wednesday highlighted the experience of the black couple Khalil White and Jasmine Williams of Philadelphia, who said they were visiting Beverly Hills on vacation in September when they were stopped, arrested, and eventually jailed by police. As 5 offenders handcuffed White, Williams said she asked an officer for her purse to retrieve their hotel key. 2 officers pushed her to a police car, handcuffed her, and took her to jail. I was scared, Williams said. I've never been to jail in my life. White, who said he was jailed overnight and forced to post a $25,000 bond, was charged in Los Angeles County Superior Court with resisting arrest and falsely identifying himself to police. Williams was charged with falsely identifying herself to police. The charges were dismissed in February, records show. Crump and Gage alleged that White and Williams' arrests were part of a campaign to target black people in the city through its recently formed task force. The Beverly Hills Police had made up their mind that this black man was going to jail because this is Operation Safe Street. So basically, any black person that they just happened to see out in Beverly Hills, they just wrongfully arrested them just because they were black. I have no reason to want to go to Beverly Hills, to be quite honest. When I go out to LA, because I do plan on going out there next year, I'm like literally honed in on next year for sure. Beverly Hills ain't gonna see my damn face. That's all I gotta say about that. In his statement, Rivetti said police had warned White and Williams earlier the day of their arrest that it was illegal to ride a scooter on the sidewalk without taking action against the couple. In their second encounter with police, White and Williams provided officers with false information, Rivetti said. Our department's practice is to contact and question individuals when we believe they may be involved in criminal activity or another violation of the law. Now look at that. Not when they are, but when they believe that they are. And by the way, that Rivetti person that they're talking about, he's the one in this picture. Beverly Hills officials faced criticism last summer for insisting on charging protesters with misdemeanor curfew violations. By comparison, prosecutors for the city and county of Los Angeles declined to charge similarly minor violations of curfews and dispersal orders. In a summary of the Beverly Hills protests, a police sergeant wrote that for residents who survived the Holocaust and Iranian Revolution, the demonstrations over Floyd's death were not merely an intrusion of their peace, but a terrifying reminder of their past. The department's previous chief, Sandra Spagnoli, retired in 2020, beset by allegations that she made racist comments and had sex with subordinates who were later promoted. Spagnoli denied the claims, which she said were raised by disgruntled employees, but the city paid out millions of dollars to settle many of the lawsuits. Gage, who represented several officers who sued Spagnoli, estimated in the time that the city paid about $8 million in settlements, attorney fees, and other costs. So it just seems to me that the Beverly Hills police are just as bad as the LAPD, but they're like literally in the same city because Beverly Hills is in LA. Like I told y'all, shady, underhanded tactics just to arrest black people. I was just waiting to see what that number was going to be. That was a lot of people they arrested. And they created a whole task force just to go after black people. They said 106 people were arrested and 105 of them or 104 of them were black, and the other 1 or 2 was Latino. Now, they always like to do that whole black and brown thing. We ain't doing that over here, but they like to lump us in there. And what have I always told you? Whenever they decide that they want to lump us in together, is usually when it's something like this going down. Any other time, it's just us. All the time. It never fails. Well, it looks like the Beverly Hills Police can get added to the list of corrupt departments, but then again, I know what y'all gonna say. All of them are corrupt, and you're right. It's just that I like to see which ones are more corrupt than the others, because some of them are just out there. Just like my list that I have are very corrupt because of the historical practices that they have, but now the Beverly Hills Police can be added to that list as well. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments.